The Iraqi dinar revaluation myth. A point-by-point rebuttal. The Kalkant rebuttal. The Kia document above is a representative sample of content that has circulated in dinar guru communities for well over a decade. It blends a few grains of factual information with a framework of false assumptions, invented timelines, and financial misinformation that has cost ordinary people significant sums of money. Here is a clear-eyed look at what the document actually says and what the evidence actually shows. The core premise is economically illiterate. The entire scheme rests on one belief, that the Iraqi dinar, IQD, will undergo a massive overnight revaluation, an RV, that transforms holders of dinar banknotes into instant millionaires. This is not how currency reevaluations work, and it is not how the Iraqi economy works. Currency reevaluations do happen. When a country revalues its currency, it adjusts the official exchange rate, typically by a few percentage points. Even the most dramatic historical reevaluations, China's yuan adjustment in 2005, Kuwait's post-Gulf War currency reform, moved exchange rates by modest amounts. They did not make foreign retail buyers of banknotes wealthy. The dinar community's vision of the IQD jumping from roughly 1,300 IQD per dollar to something like 1 IQD per dollar, an increase of over 100,000%, has no precedent in modern monetary history and no plausible economic mechanism to produce it. The document itself actually acknowledges this when it states, "We all know Iraq has way too much money in circulation. Therefore, a revaluation or an adjustment of the currency is unlikely without structural changes." This is accurate. But the conclusion drawn, that the CBI is secretly engineering those structural changes, is pure speculation dressed up as insider knowledge. Tier 4B and redemption centers are fabrications. The document claims that, during the first week of April 2026, redemption centers will start processing live appointments, and that the schedule is being filled with authorized Tier 4B participants. According to sources within 2 U.S. Treasury branches, this language, Tier 4B, redemption centers, Treasury sources, has appeared in Dinar and related GCR, Global Currency Reset, content continuously since at least 2012. The specific claim of imminent activation within days or weeks has been repeated, with rotating dates, for over a decade. Not one redemption center has ever opened. No U.S. Treasury official has ever confirmed any such program exists, because it doesn't. These are fictional terms invented within the dinar speculation community to create the impression of insider access and institutional legitimacy. This matters because the document author is not merely wrong, they are establishing credibility through invented authority. Phrases like sources within 2 U.S. Treasury branches are designed to make speculation sound like leaked intelligence. The bank fee research is a distraction from a non-event. A significant portion of the document is devoted to researching foreign exchange fees at major banks. Chase, 3%. Bank of America, 3%. Wells Fargo, 3%. Citibank, 3%. Lloyds, RBC, Scotiabank. The tone suggests this is prudent preparation, but it is preparation for an event that will not happen. There is also a subtle misdirection here. The banks mentioned do not exchange Iraqi dinars for retail customers, and most never have. The Iraqi dinar is not a freely traded currency on international markets. If you walk into a Chase branch with IQD banknotes today, you will almost certainly be told they cannot process that currency. The few currency exchange dealers who do buy IQD do so at deeply discounted rates, precisely because the currency has no liquid international market, and they charge their own spreads on top of that. The bank fee comparison is therefore a solution to a problem that doesn't exist, framed to make the scam feel like a normal financial transaction requiring normal financial planning. The HCL and oil revenue claims are mostly accurate, which makes them more dangerous. The document correctly notes that Iraqi citizens do not receive direct payments from the hydrocarbon law, HCL. that oil revenues flow into federal accounts before redistribution, and that payments go toward government salaries and social services rather than individual dividends. This is accurate. But this accurate information is being used to launder credibility onto everything else in the document. This is a classic persuasion technique. Anchor the audience with verified facts, then attach the unverifiable claims to the same structure of authority. Because the HCL explanation sounds informed, listeners are primed to treat the Tier 4B timeline with the same trust. The political commentary reveals the speculative ecosystem the document says. We probably would have already had the RV if they had dealt with this. The PMF militias years ago. This is revealing. It shows that every real-world geopolitical development parliamentary sessions, militia activity, U.S.-Israel military strikes, gets interpreted through the lens of whether it will delay or accelerate the RV. This is unfalsifiable reasoning. No event can disprove the RV, because any complication becomes a reason for delay, and any positive news becomes evidence of imminent activation. This closed interpretive loop is a hallmark of financial conspiracy communities. Evidence that confirms the belief is treated as proof. Evidence that contradicts it is treated as the cabal lying to us, or as a temporary obstacle to an inevitable outcome. The document explicitly coaches this worldview when it says, they lie to us about hard dates like that, positioning any failed prediction not as evidence that the prediction was wrong, but as evidence of deception. The human cost is real. The Iraqi dinar speculation scheme is not a victimless intellectual curiosity. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission and the FBI have both issued warnings about dinar fraud. Multiple promoters and dealers have faced criminal charges for wire fraud, money laundering, and operating unlicensed money transmission businesses. Ordinary people, often retirees, veterans, or people experiencing financial difficulty, have spent thousands of dollars on IQD banknotes that cannot be redeemed at any major financial institution, based on promises of imminent wealth that have been recycled continuously for over 15 years. The document reviewed here is careful to avoid explicit promises, framing everything as research and personal opinion. But the cumulative effect of the language, the urgent timelines, the insider sources, the practical preparation advice on bank fees is to normalize and legitimize continued participation in a scheme that exists primarily to generate revenue for dinar dealers and content creators, not for their audiences. What legitimate currency investment looks like. Legitimate currency exposure, for investors who genuinely believe in an emerging market, involves regulated instruments, exchange-traded funds, sovereign bond funds, or accounts at regulated forex brokers who deal in currencies that are actually listed on international exchanges. None of these require buying physical banknotes from unregulated dealers, and none of them come with promises of overnight 100,000% returns from secret government programs. The Iraqi economy does face real structural questions about oil dependency, currency stability, and post-conflict reconstruction. These are legitimate topics for analysis. But that analysis belongs in economics journals and policy reports, not in content that tells people to prepare their accounts for Tier 4B redemption center appointments before the end of the month. The dinar RV narrative has survived for 15 years because it offers something psychologically powerful, the promise that a small, affordable purchase today will deliver financial transformation tomorrow, and that only the uninformed are skeptical. That promise has proven false every single time a deadline is passed. It will prove false again.